Happy Halloween, everybody. Did I scare you? Today, I wanted to talk about fear, and specifically how fear relates to snakes. Snakes are amazing creatures, but why do so many people fear them? Where does it come from? Obviously, with so much fear, there has to be a reason, right? So let's discuss what fear is in the spirit of Halloween. Fear is actually a mentally constructed concept caused by the anticipation or awareness of danger. Anticipation is something that we can construct in our own minds. If we think it's scary, if we think it's harmful, we're going to be afraid of it. We evolved to have certain fears. Fear can keep us alive in certain situations. So having fear is not necessarily something that we should be ashamed of. If you show a young child, or a baby even, a snake, they're not going to be afraid of it unless they've had a negative experience with one. It's because fear is conditioned. Fear is something that we learn through experiences or from those around us. These can be rational fears, something that we learn from others that might be realistic, or from our own experiences. We learn that fire is hot. You should be afraid if you're in a building that's burning down. But then why are we afraid of the boogeyman? Why are we afraid of monsters, vampires, of zombies? These are irrational. It's because that fear was taught. It's because an experience you had. Maybe you watched the wrong movie. Fear can also spread as a form of mass hysteria. Certain politicians in our past in Germany have used mass hysteria and fear for control. And in 2016, there was actually a killer clown craze. A bunch of people everywhere started dressing up as killer clowns. A lot of people actually developed a phobia of clowns due to this. And on that, why are clowns so scary? We're very good at reading people. We've evolved to do this. Body language and especially facial patterns. So what if we cover that up with paint or, say, a mask? Suddenly, you can't tell that person's intentions anymore. Fear is something that not just humans have, it's something that animals have. My son Jacob actually had one of our rats as a pet. He named it Kaker. He loved this rat. One day, Jacob went into my room where the breeding rats were, and he wanted to pet them. He put his hand into one of the containers where one of the mama rats was and proceeded to pet one of the baby rats, and was promptly bit very hard by one of the mama rats. He developed a fear, but of only those rats. He still had positive experiences with his rat, but mine, the ones that I used for breeding and for feeding, he was afraid of them. He didn't understand that the mama rats were simply defending their babies, and they didn't know what my son's intentions were with them. So they feared what he would do to their babies. His own rats that he kept in his room were familiar with him, so they were conditioned to know that he's not going to hurt them. This is another example of conditioned fear in both my son and in the rats. Fear of snakes is nearly biblical. Most people have heard the story of Adam and Eve. There are many mentions of snakes, or serpents, in the Bible, but most people don't focus on the positive things of snakes. In the Bible, Moses has a staff that, essentially is a transforming snake staff, like he's Gandalf or something. But this staff had the power to heal, and often took the form of a snake. In fact, that's where we get the medical symbol of the snake wrapping around the rod. Snakes get an unfair rap. Most of the mentions of snakes come from serpent, and serpent actually was loosely translated from Leviathan, which is actually a dragon-like creature, but there was no words really for it. So, lost in translation, snakes got the blame. So, are snakes dangerous? Are snakes something that you should be scared of? Maybe. It just depends on the situation. But so are these. Even in their current size, and much more dangerous in their much larger size. So are these. These are incredibly dangerous. And cute. Why is it that most people would answer that they're more scared of a snake than they are of a tiger? It will most certainly catch you if it wants to. It will most certainly kill you. With no other tools, you will not win a fight with a tiger. But you will win a fight with almost every single snake on the planet, even if they're venomous. If you get bit by a venomous snake, you might die. You'll certainly get sick, but that doesn't help the snake in the moment. It's a goner. Dogs, or wolves, are historically dangerous to people. In the United States alone, 4.5 million dog bites occurred last year. And a dog certainly has the ability to hurt you far more than a snake. Are snakes going to chase you? Are they going to hunt you? Are they out to get you? God heavens no. Snakes are terrified of you. Why don't you see snakes very often? It's because they want to hide. They don't want anything to do with you. You're a predator. They're scared of you. I'm going to quickly list the top 5 most dangerous animals that cause fatalities in the US. Number 5 would be wasps and bees, and that's mostly because people can be allergic to them or because of mass swarms. Number 4 would be horses and other barn animals. Stampedes or accidents or a kick here and there are more likely to kill you than a snake. Number 3 would be the evil deer, and yes, that is accounting for traffic accidents. Number 2 would be dogs. Man's best friend is number 2 on the list of most dangerous animals in the US. And number 1 is us. There is no creature on this planet that gains such sick pleasure from seeing others in pain or in agony or being hurt, or at the very least just taking from them for our own selfish will. The CDC averages the amount of people who die in the US to snake bites to be 5 people a year. And in fact, that number is kind of antiquated. Where do these deaths mostly occur? From drunk people who decide to mess with a rattlesnake who's saying, hey, leave me alone. Worldwide, snakes are slightly more dangerous, but that's only because of the lack of anti-venom in third world countries, where almost every snake fatality occurs. A king cobra, a gavoon viper, doesn't matter how deadly they can be, they're only deadly because we are either ignorant or stupid, or in some rare cases, unlucky enough to step on them while they're sleeping. And that's the only reason that it's going to bite you, other than it being your fault. So can we overcome our fear of snakes as a society? Can we ever get to the point where more people like snakes, or at least are alright with snakes, than there are people that are afraid of snakes? I don't really know, but we can chip away at that negative stereotype with knowledge. And one of the biggest things that I touched on before is that when you don't know how to read people, you feel afraid. You find it creepy. If you ask most people, they don't know how to read a snake. I most certainly know when a snake is ready to strike. They give very clear indications that they have had it with me. They'll track your motions, they'll watch your hands, much like you would track something that you're scared of. We're afraid of snakes because snakes are afraid of us, and they have telegraphed themselves somehow as being these violent creatures that will poison you and kill you. This couldn't be further from the truth. At our most recent show, I had the privilege and honor of showing many people their first snake and watching that fear, that unease when they approached the snake, wash away as they had a positive experience. In the end, really the only way we overcome fear is by having experiences that prove to us that what we were afraid of isn't actually all that dangerous. And I invite you to go to a reptile show, find someone that will let you hold your first snake, because it is an experience that you're not going to forget, and it's not going to be because of something negative. That snake is probably just going to hang on you, and eventually it's going to realize this person doesn't want to hurt me. Much like Gwen here, who sadly isn't shed. Gwen is my pet, my very first ball python. I don't breed Gwen, and I never really had a chance to. I bought Gwen when I just loved ball pythons. I also thought Gwen was a girl. I have worked with Gwen for an incredibly long period of time. When he was very little, he would fit around my hand and just spin around for hours and hours. Gwen isn't even head shy. Most ball pythons, even good ones, are. It's because Gwen has had positive conditioning with me. Gwen knows that I'm not going to hurt him, and I know Gwen isn't going to hurt me. And that's how we overcome fear. It's a two-way street. We can learn to overcome fear together. Like and subscribe.